This is the 2025 Wigo G, launched in 2024. It is the cheapest Toyota you can get today. Does that make it the worst Toyota? Well, obviously they had to make some concessions to keep the price down. And let's get it out of the way. Here are the top 3 things I don't like about this car. Alright, number 1 is this car has no speed sensing door locks or automatic door locks for that matter. It's something that's in a lot of cars we drive nowadays, and it's something you don't miss until it's gone. How many times I've driven this, Kent has driven this, we always forget that it's unlocked. 30 minutes into the drive, we could have been robbed. The fact that it doesn't even have a center locking button here makes it even easier to forget to hit that switch before you drive off. Second, I can't quite get my optimal driving position in the Wigo. Don't get me wrong, there's enough space. I fit in this car, but it's a game of either I give up my knee room, because you see I'm banging up here, or I sit with my arms way too stretched out for comfort. If I want it in the ideal driving position for me with a bit of a kink, that means having this too upright and not enough leg room instead. Plus the seat has a little divot here in the middle that kind of leaves it raised up under my thighs, and it's not the most comfortable. This could be a problem because I'm 6'2" and you might have no problem at all, but it's my review so I can say what I want. And the last part is here on the inside. The last part is the engine noise and road noise in general. I don't mind the vibration, I don't mind the lack of power from the 1-liter engine, but I do mind that it's kind of really noisy. Anything you do more than 10% throttle, it really likes to whine. The CVT likes to whine on high speeds, and it can be a bit tiresome on the ear. But despite all that, I actually like this a lot more than the previous generation Wigo. And let's get to all the stuff that make it good in the rest of our review. Alright, welcome to the rest of the review where we actually say nice things because the Wigo isn't all that bad. And also welcome to our third lighting and weather change of the day. Let's take a look at the front end of the Wigo G. The biggest standout upgrade here is, as you can see, LED lighting. So it has LED guidelines, LED headlights, and LEDs here down below. The face is a much better look compared to the previous one in my opinion. It's a bit boxier, a bit more sharp compared to the, I'm not sure, droopy lines of the previous generation Wigo. The color is also delightful. Orange reminds me of those yellow TRD editions that you see going around. No more TRD, but this orange color makes up for it. Not much features up front in terms of tech. You don't have any cameras, no sensors, but at least you do have 2 windshield washers, unlike other budget cars which make do with 1. And up there you can also see a peek of the DVR that Toyota includes with every purchase of the G variant. Over here on the side you do have your 14-inch alloy wheels with 175mm tires, and they're small but proportional to the body of the Wigo, so I think it gets a pass from us. The side mirrors are power adjustable, power folding, and the G grade gets turn signals here. No chrome whatsoever. You do have smart keyless entry here. And on top, you don't have a shark's fin antenna. You just have the normal kind that sticks up. You can fold it down if you're embarrassed to have it, or make it aim forward like a unicorn horn if you want to. Overall, the side profile of the Wigo is not much change from the previous generation, and most of its cuteness comes from the hatchback form factor, which we'll check out more of here in the back. Right, moving on to the rear of the Toyota Wigo. It has a really sharp cutoff here. It's pretty flat when you're looking at it from the side. You have halogen tail lights. The G variant also gets a little spoiler. You do have a rear wiper, Toyota badge, G grade, and your backup sensors down here. No diffuser treatment, no visible exhaust, but the bumper is body colored for the most part and makes it look a little bit more premium. Inside the hatch, you get a decent amount of space and the loading floor is not too high. But what I really like here the most is the tonneau cover. I took out the tie so you can see it for now. It's actually a solid unit that you can actually put stuff on, especially when you're reaching it from the second row. So unlike some newer cars with no tonneau cover or those flimsy cloth ones which collapse on itself, this is a nice touch for the Wigo. Can even leave my cell phone here, right? So let's see what else it has on the inside. Inside the Wigo, immediately you see my favorite feature of this car, which is the analog gauge cluster with the small information display here. I don't like it because it's analog. I like it because of the amber color, or red if you prefer. It's a very old school touch. Cars used to come with this a lot more commonplace. Something like second generation Jazz. Subarus, old SUVs, BMWs, things like that, and it's very easy on the eyes, especially at night. It makes me wonder why new cars with customizable digital displays don't actually come with amber themes. I wonder why. Maybe that's something for you OEMs to consider. But yeah, so it is an analog gauge, and despite the color, it is still old school in a way. You just have your trip meter here, range estimate, odometer. Not much to go on here on this gauge cluster. Instead, you go over here to your 8-inch infotainment screen with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. You do have to wire it in though through the USB port. And again, my phone refused to work with it. I don't know why. So I had to rely on Bluetooth audio. The screen is decidedly low res and not the most responsive. But again, this is an entry-level car. We can forgive it for that, as well as having a huge bezel around it, which is thankfully not piano black, so it doesn't smudge right away. Underneath that, you have something Toyota calls the digital manual climate control, which is a fancy way of saying the aircon is manual but has a little LCD screen. And the layout overall here reminds me very much of its bigger brother, the Rays. Steering wheel is polyurethane with volume and media buttons here, but no cruise control. Aside from that, you do have hard touch materials everywhere you go, even on the door card where you have your armrest, and no center armrest or center box here. You have your shifter, no piano black yet again, just a bit of this carbon fiber looking trim, and a little cubby hole cup holders with a 120 watt or 12 volt socket down there for your charging needs. The G does get a start stop button, which is a nice touch of modernity, as well as an extra height adjustment for the driver's seat. So this is 6-way seat versus 4-way for the normal or lower end variants. However, the steering wheel is only adjustable for tilt, and like I mentioned in the intro, this might be one of the reasons why I can't quite get my fit right in this car. Overall though, the most important thing to consider for the Wigo's front part at least is, do I fit in it? And yes, I do, quite easily. I have enough headroom. Shoulder space is okay. I'm not bumping into my cameraman over here. And there's just enough space for my longer than normal legs. But will it be the same in the rear? Let's find out. Alright, now we're here in the back seat of the Toyota Wigo, and first of all, there are no toys here. No aircon vents, no USB ports, no center armrest, and the seats fold down like a bench. And I'm here behind my own suboptimal driving position, and no, I can't quite fit in here as well. The rear seats do have a pretty sizable indent for where your knees are supposed to go as a rear passenger, but since I am 6'2", my knees just come up like right above where the indent starts, so I can't really take advantage of it, as well as the floor seeming a bit high, as well as the seat. It's also a little upright, but if you were smaller than me, I think this is workable. And at least horizontally, I don't feel claustrophobic. The windows are nice here in the back, plus having the hatch right behind you gives it a sense of airiness. So it's not the biggest car for a rear passenger, but at least it feels airy inside. And that's a good thing, especially on long drives. Speaking of drives, I used to really dislike how the Wigo drives, but we did our first look of this car last year, and the CVT pretty much redeemed itself. So let's find out more about that on the road. Behind the wheel of the Wigo, with its exciting 67 PS and 89 Newton meters of torque, which carries over from the first generation, the same 1-liter 3-cylinder engine. And actually, I don't have a problem with that. It's not fast by any means. You can even say it's underpowered. But my real problem with the last Wigo, which made me declare it the Toyota I hated the most, was that 4-speed automatic transmission, which they upgraded with a CVT for the all-new version. And it does a lot in making it a more pleasant drive. Suspension-wise, you have the usual McPherson struts up front, a torsion bar in the rear. It is a bit bouncy, especially for the back passenger, but not too bad here in front. What is kind of bad though is the noise insulation. The harshness from the 3-cylinder is actually okay. I don't feel it much in my feet, in my butt, in the steering wheel. It's not that harsh a motor, even if they're inherently more vibratey than a 4-cylinder. but it's the noise that gets you in the Wigo. Aside from engine noise that comes in any time you apply anything more than the slightest throttle input, there you go. The engine starts gargling, growling, and a lot of the road noise from motorcycles, cars without exhaust, trucks does filter into the thin body of this car. But in terms of ride comfort, it's good enough, especially for a starter car. I don't feel it too wallowy, I don't feel too much body roll, and it doesn't jar over humps too much. It's just a little loud inside. That old 4-speed automatic felt kind of slushy and slow to respond and slow to shift as well, so it made the lack of power even more apparent. But this one, it's not lightning fast by any means, but the response is a lot better, even if it does come with CVT whine, especially at highway speed. It does a lot to make the Wigo a drivable car. So here we go, testing the power delivery. Again, a lot of noise and not much movement to match. Yeah, we're not going anywhere. So the Wigo will introduce you to the concept of planning your overtakes, especially if you want to do this on the highway. You can't just overtake on the spot. You have to build speed before you can do it. But going around in the city, it's good enough. Anything below 60 kph, you'll be comfy, you won't feel underpowered. But again, anything a bit higher and you can hear the CVT kick in. There's that noise going on. So the Wigo isn't a rocket by any means, but the real joy in driving this car actually comes from its size. So here at Zigwheels, we drive all sorts of cars, all sizes, and there's something really nice about driving a car as small as the Wigo, something built for the city. So aside from being able to sneak into all sorts of traffic situations like this one, the steering is really light and you don't need too much lock because of the short wheelbase to make 3-point turns. Parking is super easy. You don't need to worry about fitting into a slot or not. Here again, tight lanes, can easily fit in. It takes a lot of stress away knowing you have a small car that isn't liable to scratch on something or hang on something or catch a curb. Because aside from, being compact, it's also quite easy to see out of it. The windows are big, the belt line is low. Side mirrors cover almost the whole side of the car easily because it's so short. And the visibility out the hatch isn't that bad either. So for a starter car, I can see why people would gravitate towards something like this, because it takes away a lot of the mental load of considering where is my car at while I'm driving. And it just has enough power to get you from point A to B, and you don't have to worry about going too fast or losing control and all of that if you're intimidated by the thought of driving a car for the first time. Makes me wonder, what about those K cars in Japan? It's good enough for Japanese. Can it be good enough for here? City driving. But until we get those, we have to content ourselves with cars like the Wigo. And they do serve a purpose in the lineup. So just because it's the cheapest car from Toyota doesn't necessarily mean it's the worst. It's just really made for a specific purpose, and that's being a small city car. In terms of fuel economy, the CVT might have helped a bit, but this has always been a frugal champ. So in the city, we would get around 10 to 11 really heavy traffic. It's getting really heavy nowadays. You can probably get even more with a lighter foot than me. And out on the highway, you can get numbers close to 20. Keep it steady, 80 to 100 only. It performs good enough. Okay, in terms of safety, the Wigo is a bit bare bones in that aspect. You do have a reverse camera, but no guidelines on it. I wonder how much Toyota saves by not drawing any lines on screen. It can't be that much. And you do have a reverse sonar, which also shows up in the gauge cluster when you're too close. Why it doesn't show up on the screen, again, I don't know. So it means you have to look in two places at once or just listen to it instead. You have 2 airbags, so you have more speakers and airbags in this car. You do have your hill start assist, only available if you get the G CVT model. Speaking of price, this comes in the G grade at 735,000 pesos. So 735,000 for a Wigo, top of the line. Underneath this, of course, the cheaper Wigos or something like an Espresso, which is in the high 600s. And when you go above, you get bigger cars, Vios, Mirage, even those Chinese EVs, the subcompact Chinese EVs. So I don't know if you would still call the Wigo the affordable choice nowadays in 2026, with how much the pricing has grown for the car itself and the cars around it. But overall, for 700k, you can definitely do worse than the Wigo. It still has Toyota build quality, as far as we can tell. There are no, like, despite all the noise coming in from the outside, filtering in, the car itself is pretty quiet. No loose panels rattling, no trim pieces moving around. The only noise you get from the car itself is the brakes, actually. When you're at slow speed, it kind of goes like that. You can hear it. But yeah, small nitpick. And again, you can expect a lot of reliability for your 700,000. And that's why you buy new cars like this, new starter cars, even if someone might say, why don't you just buy a second-hand car for the same money, a bigger car? Well, because this one, you know exactly how it is. It's coming from the factory fresh, and you don't have to worry about hidden things, especially, again, if you're a new car owner who doesn't know about PMS yet, who doesn't know what to look out for, who doesn't want to get scammed. That's why we go for cars like the Wigo. Does being the cheapest make the Wigo the worst car? I think no. And I might actually have to find my new least favorite Toyota at this point. What that would be, I'm not sure yet. But I think the Wigo has climbed up from last place. So good job, Toyota. But I want to know what you think. Is this a worthy starter car in 2026? Drop us a comment down below. Make sure to like and subscribe. And thanks for watching.